Welcome to Vintage Gaming Memories. Shall we play a game?
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's get right into this one. As you can see, I have two boxes in front of me. Each are from a different seller. And if I probably would have waited maybe a couple weeks before I purchased this one, I wouldn't need to have bought it because this one here would have satisfied the need of this particular item. This item is identical in both boxes. One reason why this box is a lot larger than this one is because there's two items that I purchased from this seller. And that second item, we're not going to talk about it in this video. I'm going to make sure I hide it. It's a really cool item though. But this one also came from the UK, and this was within the States. So let's go ahead and just jump right in, and let me go ahead and open up both these boxes, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Well, here they are. These are the 1981 Tandy Computer Memory Match games. Now, like I said, both of them are exactly the same, except one is supposedly in mint condition, and the other, I believe, has a possible issue. Now, I recall this is the one that came from the UK that was supposed to be in mint condition, and this is the one that came from the States and has an issue. Looking at the box, they look identical. I mean, they're both kind of worn out and abused and used, but that's all right. Again, like I always say, I don't really care about the boxes so much. It's what's inside that matters. But let's see if we can see any differences, because I believe the one was purchased from the UK, whereas the other one was within the United States. I'm sure they're identical. Nothing's different. Now, the reason why I said I probably should have waited a couple of weeks before I purchased the first one was because that first one was the problem one. And that second one from the UK was supposed to be in mint condition, and then I would never have bothered buying that first one. But you never know what could be out there, so I just, had to buy it. And it wasn't that much. I think this was about $30 for the one in the UK, and then the other one was $15. So it wasn't that much of an investment. So hopefully maybe I can get that second one to work, and then I'll have two working ones, and then I'll probably give that one away or sell it or something. But before we dive further into this, I just want to give a quick backstory on why this particular game was really special to me. Comment down below and let me know if you ever heard of this game before this video. Now for me, this game was definitely not something new to my mind. It was definitely a memory lapse because I forgot about it completely until I saw the listing for that one that had issues. So when I saw that online on eBay, it just totally brought memories back from the past. And it was kind of odd because this was actually one of my favorite games, as much as it may seem to be very boring and, not really a shooter type game. But it was really a game that stuck with me for quite some time as a kid because you could play by yourself or you could play with a friend. I believe I got this game right at 1981, at the end of 1981 for Christmas. And it was my favorite game because it was my first introduction to a pressure-sensitive playfield. So this is the playfield that you see here. And there's no buttons. It's just pressure-sensitive, meaning that all it requires is that you put your finger, slight pressure on a square, whether it's a red or black one, and then it registers it in the game. So I thought that was really cool. Now, the problem with that is if you're a kid playing it and you get to play it often and maybe you get kind of aggressive or whatever it may be, you actually wear out these buttons and it doesn't end up working anymore. And next thing you know, this game is in the trash. Now, that's what might have happened to my original game. I don't know, but I remember that wear and tear got to some of these buttons, so it didn't work. I also think the color scheme attracted me to this game. I really like how that red, black, and blue, and I guess there's a little bit of white on the lettering. I don't know, let's go and take a look at maybe this one. Looks a little bit cleaner. Comes out a little bit better as far as the colors. So what is this game really? Well, I think the name pretty much sums it up. Memory Match. It's a game of using your memory to match what's underneath each of these 20 squares. You have 4, and then you've got 5 down. So 20 squares to match. So there's 10 pairs, basically. and you turn 2 over at a time, or you select 2 at a time, and then you see if it matches, and then it's the next person's turn or your next turn if you're playing one player. Your goal is to get the most points possible by getting matches, and then if you're playing by yourself, you try to clear the board by getting all 10 matches. I remember this game in other forms. There was also card games. There was card games where you turn over the card and there might be an image to match, and you turn it back. I think it was concentration or something. I don't know. But I also played this game with a deck of cards where I believe it was at my grandparents' house. We had just the 52 deck of cards, just turn them upside down and just mix them up, and then we would try to match them up. So, anyways, this was the cool electronic version of all that. So let's check this out and see what each of these look like. I'll try to keep them together so I don't mix them up. Let's see what this one looks like first. All right, there's a foam. This one has instructions. And it has the foam insert on the bottom, so that's great. It's all there. So that's this one. Let's check out this one here. Oh, it's got the Radio Shack sticker. That's what it cost back then, $19.95. So that is the original price and the sticker on there. It's pretty neat. Again, we have the foam. Oh, we even have a little Merry Christmas sticker on there. That is pretty cool. Wow. That is pretty neat. Okay, good memories on that. And here's the game. Instructions are in this one as well. And it does not have the bottom foam, just the top. But the top one has a cool little Christmas tag on it, which makes it even better. All right, well, looking at this, I can tell you this is the one that was in really good condition versus the other one. It's pretty obvious. We'll put them side by side here. This one's got a lot of scuffs. Could use a nice polish. This one is a little bit dusty and dirty too, but it's not as bad. You can see the back side. Both of them have the battery cover, and the label is in good condition. Great on this one. Good condition on the top one. Let's see the battery compartment. It takes 4 AA batteries. That one looks great. This one, not so much. Maybe that's part of the problem. So we'll see if we get this one to work. But, oh, I hear things rattling in there. It could be part of the battery contacts that are corroded, or maybe there's more corrosion inside on the board. But we'll soon find out. I think what I'm going to do is going to clean both of these and polish both of them up, even though this one probably won't work. But we'll get that all cleaned up, and then we can work on the insides later. And then we'll actually turn this one on and play a couple games so I can show you how this goes. And we'll go from there. So give me 1 second. All right, I am done cleaning and polishing both of these. I think it turned out really good. Let's take a look at the first one, which was the so-called mint condition version of Memory Match that I have. That one, just like the listing stated, it looks great, and it did turn out great with the polish. It's just really nice. You could see on the reflection here, I'm looking at the camera as well, there's like no blemishes on the glare coming from the plastic case. It's just nice and clean and solid. And the back, same as well. Display, really nice. So this turned out perfect, just like I hope it would. And then the other one, well, we know there was issues with the battery compartment, which we'll take a look at in a second. But the casing itself was really dirty and had some scuffs, but I was able to get it looking pretty good, actually. Check this out. Not too bad, right? Same thing with the case on the side. They turned out pretty good. A little bit here, but you know, these are like scratches really on the plastic. Can't do too much for that. But the other sides look really good. And then the back as well. So that Novus One product does go a long way. Oh, let's take a look at the battery compartment. I did do some cleaning. You know, I did as best as I could. This is the one side that wasn't too bad. You could see it's got some corrosion on either the copper or the metal. It does not look like it should, but, well, we'll find out. And then the other side has been corroded completely. It's definitely going to need some help here to make connection with the battery. So I have some ideas, and I think we'll just go with testing the good one first to make sure that works, because I have not put batteries in this yet. Let's leave the battery cover off on that one for now. And we'll put some batteries in here. Make sure it's turned off. And I just want to make sure this turns on. And then we'll take a look at that one and see what happens. And if all works out well, we can get right into a game. Okay, 4 AA batteries are in. Let's turn this on. That's awesome. Actually, I didn't adjust the camera, so that's not really flickering. I should change my view on that. So for now, I just want to make sure we do have power, and it does light up. That's great. Actually, I'm going to leave the batteries in there because I have more batteries. Plenty of batteries I can use for the other one. All right, let's try this one. Now, we may have some issues making contact with that one that's completely missing its clip there at the end to hold the battery to making contact with the negative side. And this one's loose too. So I do have a little trick, I guess you could call it. And that is some tin foil. Not something I would leave permanently, but just a little bit of tin foil will actually make it a tighter contact between the battery end and the connection of the compartment contact, and that's there. Let's see what we get. There we go. Nothing. All right, well, let's test this now, because that's what I wanted to do. Let's clear out some room here, and I'll show you what I'm thinking. So I just need my multimeter, and then I'll just set that to 9 volts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to test the connection, or each battery terminal connection, individually. So I'm not going to touch the actual battery, but I'm going to touch the actual contacts for the battery. So these little metal parts in particular, and let's see if it registers the voltage going through, which would be the battery. This one does not. This one here. This one does, 1.558. And we'll reverse it for the other two. Nothing in that one. And the last one, nothing. So it looks like the bridging, because this really goes like a little zigzag back and forth here with the 1.5 volts each for each battery. You start off here with the negative and you end with the positive. So I'm going to probably try to bridge each of these, and I'll show you what I mean by that. You can see how this works. It's really simple. So right here is a bridge between the two, and on the opposite side there are 2 bridges here and here. So what I'll do is put some tin foil on each of the bridge, so the 3 of them will each have like a little piece of tin foil to ensure that the connection is going through to the next battery. So just tear out a little piece of tin. Again, this is not a permanent solution, so please don't judge me by this. Just want to see if I can get this to work so I know it actually does work and it's only the battery compartment, nothing internal. So here is my first poor man's bridge between the two. I just do that. And I'm going to do one or two more on the other side. And then we'll test the actual connection. Well, actually, you know what? I'll just turn it on. We'll just try that. And let's just see if that makes a difference. And then we'll test the connection if it doesn't. Okay, so that's there. Okay, let me show you how this looks. It'll hold in place when I get the batteries in there, but you can see the two that are here that will connect, and then the one on top. So here we go. We're going to put the batteries in and have it hold in place these little pieces of tin. Probably a lot easier if I have this down. Okay, that's one. Okay, that's two. I did the center ones first because then it'll hold it in place. Now we just need to do the ends. I think I'm going to just put some tin on each of these terminating points, which is the beginning of the negative and then the positive, just so I can make sure it makes full contact. All right, there it is. Poor man's solution. Well, actually, really it's a test. So you can see how I just bridged those two together, and then those two, and then those two. So it goes from here, and then it goes right to the board from there as well. Actually, both these points, the negative and positive, should have wires that go right to the PCB. But anyways, let's just see if this turns on with that little method. Check that out. Pretty cool, huh? I probably could have done a better job in deoxidizing those battery terminals just so I can get a better connection when I was neutralizing the battery acid. You know, I'm cleaning the terminals with some baking soda and vinegar. That's great, but I didn't really brush it clean. I mean, I did use this Dremel tool with a particular bit, one of these here, but I just didn't really work it too much. I just wanted to get a lot of the excess deposits that were around those connections. Probably could have done a lot better job. But anyways, it does work. So it really is the battery compartment that's the issue. So what I'll probably end up doing is trying to find a game that I have in my pile that's no longer working. And I have some of those that have battery compartments that are pretty good. I can use some of the metal that's in there and try to retrofit it. Or I can create something myself and make it look a little bit nicer. Anyways, there's some work to be done. Nothing really major. It's pretty simple to fix. But for this video, I'm just happy this thing works. And we have two working memory match games. So we'll put this one to the side. I'll make sure I take the batteries out. But we'll put that to the side and we'll take a look at the mint condition one. And we'll try to play a game or two on it. All right, before we actually turn this on and play a game, let's just talk a little bit about the functions on the actual game itself, which isn't really much to look at. It's pretty simple. There is the on and off switch, as we already know. There's the 1 or 2 player option. And then this your turn button is used to toggle between the 2-player mode, which is why the arrow is pointing towards it. Now on your display, you have your scores and also the number that is underneath the tile that you select at each one here. So the first tile you pick will show there whether it's the number or a letter, because it could be the letter A, which I'll explain later. And then the second choice will show there. If you've already chosen a tile or a square that has been already matched, this will actually light up saying it's been taken. And then when you want to switch because your turn is done, it'll say your turn, you press your turn, and then it's the second player's turn. Last 4 indicator means that there's only 4 more squares to match up. and that's pretty much it. You're going to be really using all of this here, the matrix itself of the 20 different squares. As I mentioned about the scoring, or at least what you can get under those tiles, there is a variety. It's not a simple match in one point. You can get the letter A, or I guess if you want to do deck of cards, A for aces. A is worth 4 points. The numbers 2 through 6 is worth 1 point. 3 points are for the number 7, 8 and 9, 1 point, and 10 through 13 is worth 2 points. Now that comes in handy when you're actually playing in 2 players, because let's just say it's your turn and you know where the other A is, and you'd rather go for that versus going for number 2 or number 3, which is only worth 1 point. So you may want to try to look for all the A's first, and then the 7s, and then of course the 10 through 13s, because it's higher scoring for those numbers versus the 1-pointers. But when you're playing with a 1-player game and you're just playing by yourself, you just really want to match them all. It doesn't really matter. But it kind of does, I guess, because your score, maybe you want to get the best score, and maybe that's some kind of objective or challenge you want to go with. Now, one thing with this game is that you do not get unlimited tries to match up all the tiles on the matrix. Even if you play by yourself, you don't. You are limited to 20 tries or 20 pairs, which is really 40 presses of the button or the tiles on the matrix. Each press, when you do 1 and 2 presses, that's considered a pair that you're trying to match. So you have 20 of those, or 20 attempts, to match as many as you can or get as many points as you can. Of course, if you were perfect and every press of the button or every press of the square, it would take you only 10 tries, because there's 20 squares. Each try is 2 buttons, and, well, you can figure that out. It's going to be pretty challenging to get a perfect match unless you're writing it down or cheating in a way, or maybe you have a photographic memory, perhaps. So let's give it a try, and let me adjust the camera so we don't have a flickering on the display, and then we can see and hear how this game works. All right, I think we're all set here. I have the camera all set up and the lighting. Let's turn this on. We'll do a 1-player game. And we'll start. So I'm going to do the corners. 12 and 11. Oh, I remember that sound. 13 and 9. 12, 11, 13, 9. And then I just kind of work my way in. 12, 11, 13, 9. And then see, there's my score, 2 points. So we have a 9 there. I think 9 was over here. Now we have 3 points. 9 was worth 1 point. Another good luck and match there. I don't remember if I saw a 5. And that's what happens when you select when it's taken, and it kind of flashes there that it's been taken. And what you see on the left there, that flashing 15, that's how many tries I have left. So that's always good to note, and that's my score again on my right. Now I forgot where some stuff was at because I was talking. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Okay, it's 10 up there. So I have 9 left. 12, 5. I forgot where everything was at. There we go. Put me on my misery. That's the end, and I have 9 points. That's how the game goes. You know, a pattern is probably the best way to go with this. Like, I had a pattern set, but I was kind of talking and thinking of other things, so I wasn't remembering some of the squares that I selected earlier. Let's do a 2-player game so I can show you how that works. That's going to be a little bit different, and you can't just start it by go into 2 players and to start, you have to do a power off and on cycle. And then you can choose who goes first by pressing your turn. And you can see now it's flashing the second player. It really doesn't matter, I guess, just to show you how that button works. So I'm going to go as the first player. And then you can't press anything until you press your turn. That's just a nice way to prevent someone from accidentally taking the turn of the other player. So we're going to hit your turn, and now it's flashing player 2. And it's the same thing. You have the same number of tries. So that is Memory Match. I'm not going to go through the whole game again. I don't know how you guys feel, but I actually think this is a pretty good game. I think it's challenging, it's fun. It could even be educational if you want to look at it that way. You know, like I mentioned earlier, those games with the cards for concentration to help kids and I guess anybody at any age help build some memory skills, whether your age is 5 or older. I think this is just a really cool game, and it's a great game for me because it's got some great memories, no pun intended, of when I was a kid, and I just loved seeing these colors of this case of this game and the sounds. I mean, it just brought back some memories of being a child at Christmas time, opening it up and seeing this handheld game. Hope you enjoyed this. This is the 1981 Tandy Memory Match game. Comment down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget, keep that gaming passion from the past alive by living it today. Take care, everyone.